what's next for the Eastern Conference eliminated playoff teams? Well, first team that comes to my mind, the Philadelphia 76ers. A huge upset, right? I don't think they were supposed to be kicked out of the first round. Now, unfortunately for them, they ran across the New York Knicks, who are balling. But I mean, when you look at the Sixers, what's next is they cannot re-sign Tobias Harris. I mean, you got the fans booing. You got them giving him the Ben Simmons treatment. That's a problem.
That is it was horrible, awful, so bad. In Game 6, I said in the fourth quarter when the commentator said, and Tobias Harris has the ball. I said, Tobias, who? When I tell you, I forgot he was even on the roster. When I say he was a non-factor in Game 6 for me, and to still in a game, Krispy Kreme donut. I just why would they bring that back? Max contract? He got to go. You know what? Move him on out, because there's a couple of people that the Sixers are looking for based off of Woj that they're interested in right now. One of them is Paul George. I said, okay. Brandon Ingram. I mean, what? At the end of the day, it won't be Tobias Harris. Okay, who it is. Can't be him. No, he got to go.
No, yeah, he has to go. I think they need to allow Maxey to be the first option, followed by Embiid and then Kelly Oubre. They also need to bolster their shooting guard position because Kyle Lowry is not it. You can keep him on the team, but he cannot be your starting shooting guard. And I also think they need a solid backup center, because Paul Reed was flapping his jacks and saying that the Knicks would be the easier series. And the Sixers are at home. Paul Reed somewhere fishing right now in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea.
Right. Exactly. You know what? The thing about it is that I think that Paul Reed, he's not a center from the start, right? Is he playing opposition maybe? Should he be a power forward somewhere? Maybe he shouldn't be a center, but I agree with you that they need to bring in someone that's a true center that can help back up Joel Embiid, one. But I do disagree in the fact that I think that Tyrese Maxey should remain a shooting guard, or maybe be their prime shooting, still the number one option. I think they need to bring in a solid point guard to help fill in that position. And perhaps, I know Kyle Lowry would be either one of them, because you mentioned Kyle Lowry. I believe his time is up in Philadelphia as well. But I think they need to bring in a primary point guard, and do not let it be Chris Paul. I'm just throwing that out there. And then sprinkling that out there. Don't do it, Sixers. Maybe a young, upcoming point guard that can help facilitate. Maxey does what he does best as a shooting guard and running down the court like he is excellent at. But yeah, I agree. The backup center, and I think they need to bring in a solid point guard. That's my two takes. And Joel Embiid as a second option, relieve some of the pressure. And they're to say, just it's just one of those unspoken rules. We know that you ain't the first option, but it is time to build on Maxey, and Maxey, I think, is their future. So yeah, I agree with you. The Sixers, that is their the process. The process needs to restart, and Maxey is going to be at the head of that. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, what you think about Buddy Hield? Because he didn't show up until Game 6. He was a no-show, just like Tobias Harris, though Buddy Hield's coming off the bench. So he don't really get as much pressure. But right. Buddy Hield,
I would say no, I think he should cycle through one more season as a Sixer, because he came in after mid-season. Give Buddy Hield one full season. He had some success, because when he came off the bench, it was at Game 6 or 5, and he was shooting lights out. He could not miss. That's the Buddy Hield that they acquired. That's the one, not the other one. So if he can bring that back into the new season, let's see when he gets more rotation, he's more comfortable with their roster, more comfortable with with their organization. Let's see what another season looks like with Buddy Hield coming off the bench, and I think they'll be pretty pleased with him. So because he was highly sought after from a couple team, right? So we'll see, but yeah. I see one more.
He was though, but remember, he was in trade talks for several seasons, and nobody ever pulled the trigger. The Sixers pulled the trigger, and then he went mute when they needed him the most, and then he showed up in Game 6. So I don't know. Recency bias. They may keep him around.
Yeah, I don't think that should be their focus. Buddy Hield. even if they never play him 2025 season, that shouldn't be their focus. For the main for the top of the season. If they're gonna do anything this offseason, Tobias Harris, number one. And then your backup center, number two. In that order, Sixers.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
gave I give you the blueprint. Now go ahead and execute it.
All right, so
Oh
let's
my
move
God.
on to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're an old team. They need to get younger. I don't think there's a real path for the Milwaukee Bucks to go deep in the Eastern Conference unless they get more competitive, especially if Giannis Antetokounmpo is flirting with the idea of leaving and Dame
Yeah.
is unhappy in Milwaukee, said there's nothing to do. He's having a hard time. I know he's dealing with off-court issues. How much of that will play a role in his decision or the franchise's decision? I don't know. But yeah, the Bucks definitely need to get younger.
Definitely need to get younger. What that means is that people that we see currently on the roster, i.e. Middleton, I mean, it's nice, but when we're talking about younger in little roles, I don't know. They'll probably retain Bobby Portis. They may keep Lopez. That's fine. I was never a fan of Dame Lillard as a Milwaukee Buck anyway. So if they decide, and he is no longer one for next season, I am going to be okay with that. So I agree with you. I think they are aging out of the league. And if they want to remain relevant and being able to compete with the likes of the Timberwolves, the New York Knicks, they got to get younger. They just do. So yeah, 100% agree with that. And Giannis should stay. Giannis is the Milwaukee Bucks, right? So they need to do whatever they need to do, whatever the Bucks need to do. Whatever, back up the Brinks truck, trade a few pieces. If Giannis needs to pull what LeBron does, the passive aggressive type, is my buddy, but you can kind of get rid of him if you want to. Whatever he needs to do to make sure that roster fits him, I think that's what needs to happen. If the Milwaukee Bucks still wants to be notable moving forward. And that only way that's going right now, currently, is if they keep Giannis Antetokounmpo on the roster.
And his brother, because it
Yeah,
it's a +1 situation
it's
with
gonna always be. Anytime he turning down, he turned down a commercial or something because his brother. He turned down something recently. I heard news because his brother couldn't join.
Yeah.
I said, oh, it was something. I was like, wow. So Giannis come with a package, and it ain't his wife and kids. It's his brother.
Nonsense. Oh my God. Okay. So let's move on to the Miami Heat. And my biggest question for them in terms of what's next is like, when does loyalty fade for the Miami Heat? You got Udonis Haslem still on payroll, the retired, played 20 seasons. Eric Spoelstra been around like 20 plus years. You got Jimmy Butler. When is it over? Like, when do they turn over a fresh leaf? Now, I'm not saying Spoelstra needs to be fired, but maybe he needs a new approach. I don't know. Something needs to change with the Miami Heat, and I just can't put my finger on it. But for a couple of years now, I've been saying that they've been stale. And
Yeah,
they,
and that's true.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And they actually expired this season. So, I think it is time for cultural change, shift. If you have it, and maybe the loyalty piece of it is, let's bring in some. Let's do something different. Now, what that different looks like, it may just be a whole new roster, and maybe moving on from Jimmy Butler. That may be the difference. I can tell you one big difference is that I want y'all to take the season serious at the top of the season. I want that. I don't want to hear next season. Oh, the Heat don't evolve until the end of the season. It's too late. It's too late. These new teams are ready, locked and loaded. And here y'all come now on the late train. What you did in 2023 will not happen again. That was a once in a lifetime event. That's how I see it. So yeah, the Miami Heat needs a revamp on South Beach.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
the problem is only a couple of players can fit in to that culture, right? Pat Riley runs a tight ship. We know Spoelstra is very intense. Everybody can't make it. It's like boot camp
Yeah.
over there for the Miami Heat.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Guess what? If the money is right, maybe that's where Dame needs to go.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But they need to do something, and I want to see. I can't wait to see what the offseason brings for them. Yeah.
And the Orlando Magic, a team that came from the depths of the Eastern Conference,
They did.
I mean, fought for their lives in the
Ooh.
playoffs. And honestly, I think they're battle tested now, right? So they can
Oh,
take this
run,
and bottle it up and take it to the
run it back.
next season.
Run,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Run it back with this same group. Now, quite naturally, they may add a few more pieces down the bench or whatever. But with their core right now, what is it, about 8 of them?
Yeah.
5 plus maybe.
Cole Anthony,
Now,
you
now I
Markel
will
and them.
say, right. I will say this, that Gary Harris, though, if you had to make some adjustments, he will be one that you will kind of use as a piece to maybe bring in somebody else to swap out. I mean, because he's always injured, right? But if you keep your core 8, bring somebody to replace him so you can make it about 9, I think that would be phenomenal. But I want to see the Orlando Magic, although they're blasted, was able to go through one round of playoffs. Next season, I want to see the same group do it again. The same group do it again because they have something very special with Coach Mobley as Mosley.
Mosley, yeah.
Mosley. They have something very special with Mosley as their lead. And now that they have the experience, ooh, can you imagine how they'll do in 2025? Such a great team with Powell being the lead. I love everything. The Wagner brothers, love everything about it. Everything about it. And you know, I'm a Jalen Suggs fan. So everything about it. I love everything. I love everything about what the Orlando Magic have to offer. It didn't work out for them this season, but next season is so bright for them that I think that they'll gain such experience with this experience and that they can take it to the next season. So yeah. Run it back, Orlando.